Gango, how's everybody doing, man? Welcome back to Man Blue FC. My name is Nande, and we're about to jump into another reaction. And this is following the first half of match week 3 in the Premier League. And yesterday, meaning a Saturday, I sat through two matches, 2.5 matches if you count the Real Madrid versus Mallorca match, but two Premier League matches. And look, people, I saw the Chelsea versus Fulham match, and then I saw the Manchester United versus Burnley match. And look, every single time Manchester United play, it just seems like they're fighting for their lives, like a patient in the ICU. Like, have you guys ever played like FIFA, but in like ultimate mode? That's Manchester United every single time they play. Like, it's crazy. They got away with it, in my opinion. They got away with it because Jaden Anthony, somebody who actually equalized earlier on in the match, tugged on Amad Diallo's jersey like in additional time, like right before the match ended, and Amad Diallo took that as a signal to kind of dive like Michael Phelps, and it was absolutely shameless. Amad Diallo, come on, bro. But you know what I mean? You do what you have to do, people. All that matters is 3 points at the end of the day. And as far as the Chelsea match goes, refereeing decisions is crazy in the Premier League. First of all, that youngster King, who had his goal disallowed because of the challenge made to Trevor Chalobah, which wasn't a foul in my opinion, because the dude who stepped on Trevor's foot had no clue that he was stepping on his foot. He had his back turned to Trevor, but the foul was still given and the goal was disallowed. So Chelsea used that as a springboard to kind of like screw Fulham out of a well-deserved draw, if not a win. But anyway, you know what I mean? All roads lead to Anfield in about a few hours. And yeah, I know a bunch of Arsenal fans watching me right now are crapping their pants, in anticipation of what that's going to be like. You know what I mean? If you ask me, I hope both teams lose, but you know what I mean? That's not possible. So in the very least, I hope Arsenal lose. Today we're jumping into this daily transfer daily video by Robbie. And he's just pretty much going to break down what's happening with the Hincapie deal. Apparently there's a medical booked, but you know what I mean? Let's just let the guy speak for himself about that. And yeah, let's just get into it right now.
Big weekend coming up for Arsenal. We go away to Anfield, Liverpool. We haven't won there since 2012. Absolutely,
bro, that's crazy.
Massive.
What a
massive
crazy statistic
game.
That is.
And I'm really, really looking forward to it. Can't wait for it. We could see 4 new signings start that game. And that's how significant this summer's transfer window has been.
Eze is set to make his debut if everything goes to plan.
Probably going to start instead of Saka, who's injured.
I know a lot of Arsenal fans are excited to see that.
Midfield, Victor Gyökeres up front, and Eberici Eze could make his debut in that game as well. So just goes to show that the signings that we've made this summer are very significant. Number one in starting, in Zubimendi and Gyökeres, they're definite starters. And also Madueke, coming in probably for Saka, just goes to show that you need squad depth. I mean, normally we'd be fearing the worst missing Saka, but we know that Madueke can do a great job out there. So looking forward to that game. But the big news is Piero Hincapie to Arsenal. The deal has been done. It's got a here we go from Fabrizio Romano. That deal is 100% happening, subject to his medical, which he is having this weekend. And Hincapie will be the 8th Arsenal signing this summer. Brilliant.
I heard somewhere,
again,
probably from Robbie, that this is the most expensive
the
transfer
deal breaks
window
down
Arsenal's
like
ever had in
it's
their
a
history.
Season-long loan to begin with a buy option. Interesting that. Not an obligation, but a buy option. So that's very interesting. Don't know the full details of the option, but that's what David Ornstein, who broke this story exclusively yesterday, is saying it's a buy option. The full package is worth around about £45 million. So that's the full package that we'll be paying for him. You know, once you take into account all the add-ons and everything like that, it will be worth £45 million. There's a 10% sell-on clause included in the package. That's probably how Arsenal have managed to get around not having to meet the full release clause of Hincapie. And these things will come into place.
What was his release clause? Arsenal fans, let me know.
You know, he's sold, or if he's sold in the future. And there's also going to be a deal. The deal, is also going to be a 5-year permanent deal, which, of course, will come into action once all the options have been met. So that's the deal. Essentially, as I said, it's a season-long loan to begin with. I guess that within that fee, Arsenal have paid some sort of loan fee for the season, and then the rest of the money will be paid next year once they've taken up that option to buy him. Also very interesting about this deal is that it's rumoured that Piero Hincapie and his agent waived their percentage of any future sell-on clause, which is said to be worth probably, they probably given up around about £5 million, based off of a clause of 10%
This isn't the first time this has happened in this transfer window.
Desperate to
Victor
get the deal
Gyökeres had to forego a lot of money, or rather his agent had to forego a lot of money in that deal to
Victor Gyökeres,
secure a
desperate
move.
to come to Arsenal. And now
See?
Piero
Here we go.
Hincapie, top player, can play as a centre-back, can play as a left-back, won the league with Bayer Leverkusen. And this is a very, very good signing for Arsenal and a very, very capable player indeed. And again, more quality being brought into the squad. On his way out of Arsenal, though, is Jakub Kiwior. He is now joining Porto. That deal has sort of been in place for the last couple of days, but couldn't move until the Hincapie deal was sorted out, which it has now been done. This deal breaks down roughly as a £1 million loan fee that's going to be paid upfront by Porto, with a £15 million obligation to buy. But the total package with all of the add-ons works out to around about £24 million. And there's been a sell-on clause included in that deal as well. I'm not sure of the details, the full details of the sell-on clause, but there's a sell-on clause included in that. So roughly around £24 million for Jakub Kiwior, and he is joining Porto. And a good deal for Porto, a good player, a good deal for Arsenal. They really wanted to try and achieve around about 30 million, but they weren't able to do it. But they have included that sell-on clause. So if he is moved on in the future, Arsenal will get a big chunk of, well, hopefully a big chunk of whatever that fee is.
I mean, he's supposedly leaving for
sometime in the future they'll get some more money for this deal.
What are the chances he's going to be
out,
moved on for more than that in the future?
But the
unless he pulls a Scott McTominay and becomes like a Ballon d'Or nominee in the next season,
going to Porto is going to be roughly around £21 million. So we're roughly getting Hincapie for around about £21 million if you kind of work out the net spend, which is not too bad. Not too bad. Again, Andrea Berta working his magic in the transfer window. And he's saying, according to all the rumours, that he's looking for more. He's not done yet and is looking for more deals, possible deals, before the transfer window closes on Monday at 7 p.m. One player that has been mooted, and I say this very loosely, I've seen this in a few places, Ollie Watkins, that Arsenal are exploring the possibility of trying to bring in Ollie Watkins on loan. I just see this as highly unlikely. Ollie Watkins, of course, just been selected for England. I know we were after him in January, but I just cannot, especially the plight at the moment that Aston Villa are in. I can't see them letting possibly their best player go out on loan before the end of the transfer window. And also, Ollie Watkins is going to want to play. I mean, I know we've got the injury to Havertz, and Havertz has had the surgery and looks like he's going to be out for roughly about 3 months. But Ollie Watkins, he ain't going to want to be sitting on no bench in a World Cup year. So I really
point.
doubt that one. I've seen it mooted in a few places, but I doubt that one. And Andrea Berta also working to get deals sorted out for Bukayo Saka and William Saliba. Remember, they're yet to sign their long-term contracts, but that's said to be, once the window has closed, his top priority to get new contracts for those two. And those are the two top players that we've got. People talk about, I was sort of having this argument the other day with a fan who was saying that we're really poor sellers. The problem that Arsenal have got is that they've got really
That's not an argument. That's a fact.
now, but they don't want to sell them. You know what I mean? I mean, how much would they get for Saka? How much would they get for Saliba if they sold those players? They get monumental amounts of money. And that goes for most of the sort of team now. But those are not players that they want to sell. So, Fabio Vieira is a player, however, that they are trying to sell. And Stuttgart have said to have ramped up their attempts to try and get this deal done before deadline day. We know that they've been interested now in trying to get Fabio Vieira now for quite a few weeks. They're also said to be 3 other top European teams that are interested in signing Fabio Vieira. So expect a deal to be done for him before the end of the transfer window. And I spoke yesterday about Arsenal sending out some of the young players on loan before the end of the transfer window. Confirmed yesterday that Ismail Kabia, the 19-year-old, is being sent
God's
out
name
on loan.
is that?
He's a Dutch player, plays as a right winger, and he's joining Shrewsbury Town on a season-long loan. We've loaned players to Shrewsbury before. I think it was Charles Sago Jr. Yeah, I remember he went on a previous loan spell to Shrewsbury Town. So good luck to Ismail Kabia, who's going to be out there on loan. So those are the rumours today. Big one is Nkapia signing for Arsenal. Big business, and looking forward to welcoming him in to the Arsenal fold, the Ecuadorian international. And let me just leave you with this thought, right? On this day in 2016, Arsenal signed Squadron Mustafi from Valencia for £35 million. We've come a long way, a long way in how we're signing players and the quality of players that we're signing. So far, so good. Could we get some more in before the end of the transfer window? Keep it locked here and you'll find out here on Transfer Daily. Subscribe and I'll see you tomorrow.
That was Don Robbie, man, leaving us with the most useless trivia fact that I've ever heard. But you know what I mean? Shout out to Big Don, as always. And Arsenal got the Nkapia loan deal through the door. And still, Arsenal are bolstering their squad, kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? They're trying to rewrite their history, not their history, but they're trying to rewrite their status as a club that doesn't do anything in the transfer window. You know what I mean? Last season, or rather the last winter transfer window, Arsenal notoriously didn't sign anyone, and they were in need of a player. They had injuries and all sorts going on. Now they've learned from that, but I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Berta is now a part of their squad. And there's another thing that I didn't mention before, guys. Tottenham played Bournemouth at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium today, and listen, we have to thank Evan Olsen and Bournemouth because they restored balance back into the world, like the last airbender. Actually, now that I think of it, I think airbender is like a slur in England. I guess they call that show something else over there. British people, if the word bender is a slur in your country, then what do you call the robot in Futurama? Leave it in the comment section. And Real Madrid played Mallorca. I watched the first half, and they scored 2 goals in quick succession. That's why I felt the need to kind of skip the second half, because I thought, this is just going to be more of the same. But when I saw the full-time scoreline, I was like, I guess I made the right call in turning that match off, because I just pretty much saw all the goals to that match, Real Madrid looked very impressive in that first half, and we're about to play them at some point in the Champions League. So I hope we're up to par, and we're playing them at the Bernabeu, by the way. So I hope we're up to par when that day comes. Listen, people, thank you for the support. You guys yesterday shocked the hell out of me with how much you appreciated that video. So I appreciate you guys. Leave a comment on this video, leave a like on this video, and subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna catch you guys next time, man. Peace out.